Yes, today we are going to talk about the difference between DT and IDT. Okay, the direct taxes and indirect taxes. Okay, so first, apart from all the notions or misconceptions that you've learned from books or from searches, this is a very intriguing and a very earnest effort to tell you the difference between DT and IDT. Okay, there is direct tax and indirect tax. What is a direct tax? Say, for example, you're earning around 1 lakh rupees. Okay, okay, you're earning around 1 lakh rupees, and out of this 1 lakh rupees, government says no, you cannot use all of 1 lakh rupees by yourself. You will have to pay at least 20% to me, because I'm providing you so many amenities in terms of roads, colleges, schools, and the ration shops and everything I'm providing you. So obviously you'll have to pay me first hand or for around 20,000 rupees. That is 20% of your earnings should be remitted to me. That is, government says you should remit to me 20,000. At least that is the 20% of your earnings before you spend even a shell. Which means before spending anything, if you pay to the government, okay, 20% of your income, or at least say, for example, any salaried person will pay 20% first to the government, and only 80% is left over with him for him to spend. But it's not the same case in terms of business. What business does is, business doesn't know exactly how much they'll earn within a year. So they'll pay the taxes even at the end of the term. Whatever it is, the concept is very simple. If your earnings is 100 rupees and or $100 or any 100 yen, whatever, if your earnings is 100 units and government says only after paying 20 units you can spend the remaining 80 percentage, which means the government says you are allowed to spend only 80 percentage of your earnings. You are not allowed to spend more than that. If that is the statement that the government has on you, that is called as a direct tax. A direct tax always has a standing on to the people, saying that only after paying this, whatever is left over shall be available for you to spend. You're not given the right to spend every 100 units that you earn, because you have a duty to pay 20% of your earnings towards the taxation, that is direct taxes. That is, for example, if a person is earning 1 lakh, government will say you have the capacity to earn 1 lakhs, why don't you give 20% as a contribution towards the nation? You can have the concept like that. Or it will say you are earning so much because of the roads I've laid to you. You are earning so much because of the schools and colleges and the educational system that I provided for you, which means the earnings that you're making by your own self, it is not just because of you, it is also because of me. Which means on every one unit that you're earning, you will have to pay me 20% of it. If this is the deal between the government and the person who's earning, okay, remember, if in a family there is only one person who's earning, the direct tax shall be only on him, not on the other three people. Because this tax, direct tax, is always termed as on the person who's earning, or on the person who's holding the wealth, or on the person who's holding whatever it is. Which means if a person is earning 100 units, the government will sue the person, or the government will say the person who is earning has to contribute 20 percentage towards the government. Which means this type of tax which the person has to pay is called as a direct tax, or the earnings tax, or the capacity to earn tax. Which means if you imagine this circle is your total income, and out of this total income you have to pay this portion as the taxes. Even before you spend your income, you have to pay taxes 20%, and only 80% of the tax, 80% of your income is available for you to spend. This 80 percentage is called as disposable personal income, and this whole 100 percentage is called as personal income. Which means the income that you earn, the income, see, in the personal income sometimes, the transfer payments is also included, but don't think about that. We're just concentrating on to the difference between the DT and IDT. Okay, so now here, if the whole circle is your income, and imagine there is no transfer payments at all for you, which means the whole income will will form part of either it is a salaried income, or it is a house rental income, or it is from the business or professional business income, or professional income, or any income. Okay, for that matter, if you're earning 100 units, out of that 100 units you will have to contribute 20 units to government, and you have the right to spend only 80 units, which means this portion which you pay to the government, okay, on your production capacity, on your earnings capacity, on the ability that you have to earn income or to produce something for your country, this tax is called as a direct tax. And what will happen to the remaining 80% that you have? For example, if your income is just $100,000, that is, for example, or $1,000 or whatever, if you are earning just 100 units, and if you have paid 20 units as tax, the remaining portion that you have, 80 units, is all for you. You can decide what you want to buy, what you want to spend, or where you want to spend, what is the kind of good that you want to purchase, what is the kind of service you want to enjoy. Everything can be decided by you. Do you think that you can consume a product to the fullest extent of 80 units? Do you think that $80 that you have, or 80 rupees that you have, do you think that you can spend the 80 rupees and enjoy the consumption to the extent of 80 rupees? It is not the case. For example, if you have 80 rupees with you, for example, okay, you just take, for every day you earn $100 or 100 rupees, and then for every day you're bound to pay 20% as taxes, and you have that remaining portion of 80. Okay, you go to a shop, you just like a product, you just like a consumer durable, or you just like a product you want to buy, and you see the MRP is 80. Okay, do you think that the 80 rupees that you pay towards the shop just goes to the person who is producing it? Do you think that the 80 rupees that you pay exclusively goes for the cost of production of the good or for the supply chain management? No. Out of that 80 rupees, what happens is 10 rupees goes to the government, and only 70 rupees goes to the person who are all involved in the production of the product, supply chain management, or the person who's delivering it. For all the people who are involved in the production and supply of the goods and services, gets only 70 rupees, and 10 rupees is hidden in the MRP, which goes to the government. Okay, this is called as consumption tax, because you might consume a good or a service. Okay, you might consume a good or service, or both goods and services, which means on every consumption a citizen makes, he should make sure that he has to contribute a portion of his consumption ability towards government. Which means if you're able to consume a good for 80 rupees, you'll have to pay 10 rupees towards me, which means for every 70 rupees goods you're buying, you'll have to contribute 10 rupees towards the government, which means 80 rupees will be the money that you pay towards the government, and the amount of consumption may be 80, but the value or the utility or the good value that you're consuming is only 70. But then you're paying 80 because 10 rupees or $10 is towards the taxation portion which you're paying, which means on every consumption there is a hidden portion of taxes which is called as indirect taxes, or the goods and services tax, or you may call it as consumption tax. Do you think the consumption tax is paid only by the person who's earning income? No. For example, your dad gives you an amount of 80 rupees, and you spend that 80 rupees on purchasing a notebook, which means on the notebook cost might only be 65 rupees, and 15 rupees will be towards the GST, there is goods and services tax, which means effectively if your income is 100 and 20 rupees is being deducted towards your income tax or direct tax, the leftover 80 is not for you to spend on a very free manner, which means out of the 80 you still are paying 15 rupees towards the taxation called as consumption tax or GST, which means effectively you are left over with minus 20 minus 15, which means you're just left over with 65 rupees for yourself to spend. In order to arrive the 65, you have to deduct your direct taxes and indirect taxes. Direct taxes is what you pay before you even start to spend, that is called as the income tax or the earnings tax, okay, or the production tax, because based on your production ability you're paying some tax to the government. Okay, don't confuse this with the production tax as in product taxes. Don't confuse this with the product tax. This is just the income tax, and whatever you spend on every good that you consume, that is called as a consumption tax. So at the end of the day you're only left over with 65. This 20 rupees that you pay is very visible, but this 15 rupees that you pay is totally invisible. I hope you've understood the difference between direct taxes and indirect taxes. Thank you so much.